Hello and welcome to Shar's Craft Haven. I've done a bunch of live streams, but wanted to do a workshop style one. I have my lovely assistant, the founding member of the Cardboard Kids Club, the infamous Cardboard Kids Club. And today I'm going to go through how a commission might look. So some design questions, making a prototype, and then hopefully making a final piece. So we're going to get to it. As always, like, subscribe. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments. We will pause periodically to answer your questions, and we will get to it. So first off, let me show you what I got. So here was the order that I received. So one bike and one wolf. I then asked for more details, what it would look like, and I have received this drawing. Number 1, number 2. So, let's get to designing. All right, so how big would you like this to end up being?
I think maybe it being 1 inch by 2 inch, so a rectangle. The bottom being 2 inches long, and then the top being 1 inch.
So 1 inch long this way, or 2 inches this way, 1 inch this way?
Yeah.
All right. So let's change the size to 1. Okay, and then how big should the bicycle be? Do you want it to take up most of that space, be a bit smaller or larger?
I think I would like it to take up the most of the space, maybe have a perimeter around the bike.
Okay, so let's try 1.5. So that's a little too tall still. So let's try 0.8. Okay, what do you think of that?
I think that looks perfect.
Okay, and you had talked before about wanting
maybe a hole to
one
make
hole or 2 holes.
1 or 2 holes to make into a keychain.
Do you want the holes on one, like here, or on both the tops? What do you think?
I think both top corners, maybe.
So like up here and here?
Yeah.
Okay. Does this look like a good width now that you see the bicycle, or do you want it shorter in any way?
I think I would like it thinner.
So width this way?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
the bicycle
width up and down, I would like it to be longer, maybe.
So you'd like it to be taller and less wide.
Okay.
Okay. So here, so the bike is 1.1. So let's see what 1.5 looks like. 1.5. And then we'll recenter that. Okay, and you want more space on top?
No, I think it's great.
Does it look okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, and let's see how big of a hole do we want to make. So you think like what size?
A small.
Normally I do like 6 millimeters. So you can see what that looks like.
A small
Smaller
hole
than
for
that?
a keychain. I think that's good.
Okay. Which side do you want it on? This side or this side?
I think the left side.
Okay, so the back. All right. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How does that look?
I like it.
And do you like the bike facing that way? Because we can mirror it.
I like it going that way, I think.
Okay. All right. So, do you want the edges of it rounded?
I think, yeah.
So they're less sharp? Okay. So I'm going to go up around the edges evenly. Okay. How's that look?
I like it. I think it's perfect.
Okay. So we're going to do path
Union.
union or difference? Are we cookie cuttering?
No. I don't think so.
All right. It's path difference. The
Right.
cookie cuttering. And then I'm going to move this slightly away. 1, 2, 3. And do you want this cut or scored? Or engraved?
I think engraved.
I didn't mean cut. You want it engraved?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's make this orange. Let's give this a red stroke because when we bring that in, that will make it give it its own layer. So does that look what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Let's zoom in. And do you like this bicycle?
Yes.
Okay. There are a few different ones, but I think this one looked most like your drawing. So again, this is my plan. So let's see the bicycle. Okay. So if that looks good to you, I'm gonna do file save. And then we're going to bring up XCS. Okay. I did some testing before I cut out the bicycle and it didn't go so well. Do you want to show off? Okay. It was a bit fine. Well, so it turned out a little fragile. I even did multiple of them to try and layer them. Turned out sort of cool, but there we go. But it was not what was wanted. So we went back to the drawing board. All right. So let's get back into XCS. And then we'll pull in the new idea. Okay. Refresh, make sure the wood hasn't moved at all. Oh, it has. That's why you refresh the camera. Okay. I'm just using scrap wood. I'm gonna use the close-up camera.
Bloop.
Get as close to the edge as I can.
And you can hear the laser moving.
Yep. All right. So there's our cut layer. And again, because of how I did the color in Inkscape, they came in as separate layers, which is helpful. All right. 3mm Baltic birch. Because this is a little fine, I'm going to actually knock this down to 25 and 80. All right, and then we're going to engrave. And then here's my light engrave. Yeah, let's
4,000?
400 millimeters per second. And then
300.
It was 400 and I changed it to 300 to go a little deeper than my light engraving settings. And then I think it's not terribly detailed, so I'm just going to leave the lines per centimeter, how much it goes back and forth. I'm going to leave that the way it is. And then bidirectional, it's going to go back and forth, which is what we want. All right, so I'm going to hit process and make sure I do what? What do I need to do before we start?
Check.
Fan.
Fan.
Yeah.
Fan.
Turn on the... Alright, hey Joe, welcome. Hopefully y'all can hear. Okay. Switch over to our Ian laser view. You gonna watch it while it goes? Looking good. What do you think?
Yeah.
You gonna keep watching? You gotta watch while the laser's going. It's for safety. Alright, it's gonna cut. Alright, we're gonna wait a second for the smoke to clear. Alright, you gonna get it? You get it? You get it?
Yes. I need the master cleaner offer. Yeah. The paper
Alright.
towel.
Why don't you show what it looks like?
Me. 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 Me.
Alright, so we have our bicycle keychain for your friend. What do you think of that? It's good? Alright, you wanna hang out? You wanna go do your own thing? Alright, see you later. Alright, so that was our first commission out of the way. Hopefully that was interesting. The next commission I'm working on is a memorial plaque for a gazebo. And I've already worked it up. Let me change out my material. This is going to be gold mirror acrylic. When you're doing mirror acrylic, you want to engrave on the back side and cut from the back. So I'm going to get that loaded up. Lots of mirror acrylic comes with a clear front piece, and I'm going to leave that on so that there aren't any incidental scratching on that. So I'm updating. I am not ready to use the close-up view, so I'm going to delete that. Gonna bring in the file. So again, just like the commission I just did, let me go back actually to the Inkscape file. All right, so some things with commissions. People might say, I want it this size. I want it, what I did with this commission is I made sure to triple check spelling I gave font options so that they'd have an idea of, what the text would look like. I made a prototype and took pictures and sent it to them. And I just remembered they gave me the hardware they're going to use. And so I need to measure the hardware and put holes in the acrylic so that they can attach it. So they gave me 3 of these, but I think they're just going to be using 2. So I'll make some holes just like I did with the keychain on the top. Great. Glad you can hear me fine. So one of the tools I recommend that everybody has who's doing laser stuff are digital calipers. Out. These I think were like $8. It helps with material you're not sure the thickness of, but also things like this. So I'm gonna measure the part that's gonna go through. And so that is just under 4 millimeters. So it's about 3.8. So I'm going to create holes in the top of this sign that are that size. So when it cuts out the outside, it also cuts out holes so that it can more easily be mounted. All right, so you're going to use the circle tool. And again, I'm going to make this 3.8 millimeters by 3.8. Again, I'm going to check that measurement really fast just to make sure. I want it to be wider than the screw, but smaller than the head. So the head is 10 millimeters, around 10 millimeters, and the screw shaft is around 4. So I think I'll make it 4.2. 4.2 millimeters. It'll be slightly larger as well because of the laser kerf, but this will be a good place to start. I think I'll try it at the edge and see how that looks, and I might end up putting them towards the middle. So I often use one of the dots as spacing. So if I want to get an equal distance, I'll align this to the edge, and then I'll use my alignment tool to inset it. So, not a huge fan of that. I think I might have them in more. I don't like how close it is to the P. So I think maybe, so this is 6 inches. So I think I'll make a 2-inch block and space it that way. 2 inches. All right. So let's see how that looks. And then we'll I like that a little better. I think maybe I'll just align center. That's a little close to that. All right. Let's try dropping this down. All right. I think that looks good. So just as before, I'm going to do path, object to path, path union to create one piece, and then I'm going to do path difference to cut that out of the background material. Gonna give it a stroke and make it red. And then this is going to be engraved. So I'm going to make it orange. All right, and then I'm going to save it. It was noisy in the close-up. Okay. Let me see if I can. There we go. I've muted that camera. So hopefully it'll be less noisy. You've seen, okay, so we have a question. Can you engrave on the front of mirror acrylic? I honestly wouldn't do that because it's reflective and I don't want the laser to be bouncing off. So I don't know how they engraved on the front of mirror acrylic. It's not something that I would do. I always back engrave, and then you'll see after it engraves, I'm going to fill the back with paint, a maroon color that they want, and then it'll show up like it's on the front. So hopefully that answers your question. All right, so I'm saving this, and then I will bring it into XCS. Okay, here we are. Again, it is mirrored because I am engraving on the back. Now I'm gonna capture the close-up view. See if I can get this close to the edge. There we go. I'll check one more time on this side. Shouldn't be a problem, but it's good to check. All right, that looks fine. So now for the layers, this is going to be engraved. And we want we'll start with that and then cutting. P2 3mm acrylic. That's what we have. And then we want a pretty deep engraving. So I think I'm going to bump this down to 150. Well, we'll go 200. I want space in the back for the paint to set. So I'm engraving the mirror backing layer and a tiny bit more. And I'm going to bump this up to 180 because I want there to be a finer detail on this. And we are going bi-directional. It is super important with acrylic that you vent well. So I'm going to have my purifier put all the way up to its max. And I'm definitely going to watch as this goes. Acrylic makes a bit of a mess. And it stinks a little bit, but we will get this started. All right, it is going through the mirror backing layer, so we did use enough power. Any questions or thoughts while it engraves? It could take a couple minutes, so happy to answer more questions you might have. Let me know also if there are other types of projects you'd like to see as as we move along. I'm also going to be using an old toothbrush to scrub it. If you don't get the acrylic dust out, then when you paint the back, it has issues. So apparently, I put my camera in the wrong place in the machine. So uh, sorry, it doesn't give the best views. Um, Anything you all are doing with your P2s? Any anything you're stuck on? Let me know. Here's the prototype that I did. You can see the painting in the back. I'm gonna do a darker paint this time so that it stands out a bit more. They wanted a maroon color, so we'll do a darker maroon. So how are you all liking the P2? Any projects coming up? So yeah, I really love mirror acrylic. I made ornaments. Made a light box before that was really cool. Um, there's lots of really fun stuff that you can do with mirror acrylic. I've used it as a part of inlay, so like a mandala with different pieces that are inlay. Um, my favorite, I don't know that they carry it anymore, but my favorite is an electric blue acrylic, mirror acrylic, which is really neat. I'd say we're about a third the way done. Again, any other questions about the P2? Still working with the P1. Did most of what I just talked about. I did on the P1. It works really well with acrylic. Um, yeah, I still have my P1. Trying to figure out space for all the lasers. Um, I really wish they had found a way to make the RA2 compatible, because the RA2 rotary is just way better than the original rotary. Sadly, they couldn't figure it out, but yeah. Do you use the rotary much? 30 power. Yes, I did 30 power, 200 speed. Again, I don't want to go too deep into the acrylic. This is actually probably a little too deep. I just want to go into the mirror layer to remove the backing. The further you go into the mirror acrylic, I'm not sure if you can see it on the edges. Maybe not. But the further you go into the mirror acrylic, there's sort of a ghosting effect. If you go past that layer too far, it's harder to get paint in. The edges have a little illumination. And so 30 power 200, or yeah, I think 30 power 200 millimeters per second is what I ended up doing. All right, we're down to the final line of text. Once it finishes, I'm going to give it a little bit because it really stinky. So and then we're going to clean it, and then we'll do the back painting. Yeah, again, my camera placement was a little off, but that is what it is. So I also did a little commission. I have another commission for my son. He wants, his friend wants a little wolf, so I did a little bicycle keychain wood thing, and then I'll do a little wolf one as well. All right, it's cutting. Again, I'm gonna give it a little bit to vent the fumes because acrylic is super stinky when you melt it. And then I also leave the fan on for a while so that it can off gas. So I am going to move. I just got a new thing for camera, so we're gonna try it out. Give me a second while I move my microphone over. All right, here we go. Get a little light on. Okay, so here's where we're at. So the first step is you can see how there's a bunch of dust. Acrylic dust gets super sticky, and so I'm gonna get a little bit of water, and then I'm gonna scrub off that dust. So I want to make sure that before I fill this with paint, that there's no acrylic dust inside those little channels. Again, if I wasn't doing this on camera, I would use running water in the sink to get the first bit off, and then I go in and scrub with this old toothbrush to make sure it's out of all the little nooks and crannies. So, and again, like I said a little bit before, if you skip that step, you have issues with the paint being unable to get all the way in, and so you'll have blobs, you'll have pieces that are not all right, not fully okay. Just doing a visual check, see if there's any obvious things stuck in there. Not seeing anything. Make sure there isn't water in there either, because water will not let the paint dry. Okay. And then, like I did in the prototype, I'm gonna be painting the back. This was a little lighter than it should be, so I'm gonna make a maroon that's darker than that. So get some red. Okay, and then add a little black to it. As it goes with painting, I'm sure you've all painted quite a bit before. You can always add more pigment. You can't take pigment out. So I'm going to start just a little bit of black and then go from there. And I am mixing more paint than I'm going to end up needing because once I get the color, I don't want to try and color match, on the spot later. So again, this is going to be a darker maroon, so that it shows up in contrast to the gold, which is very bright and reactive and reflective. That looks pretty good. And again, it's gonna look like I'm adding a ton, and it's because I'm not only I'm not only painting it, but I'm filling the space so that the light doesn't pass through. Something that's also important is to make sure you get the little nooks and crannies at the end of letters. They often don't get the paint as well, and so you want to make sure they are all filled in. Go. Again, this is a commission, so I had multiple conversations. I went and saw the space that they're going to install this in. I measured, got the okay that the font looked good, made a little prototype. Well, not so little. Made a prototype to make sure that everything was spelled correctly before making the final piece. And again, I'm making sure that there aren't little bubbles, so I can see a couple places that there are bubbles in the paint, going back and popping those with the brush, because with the mirror acrylic, it becomes really obvious if there isn't full pigment covering. That becomes really, really obvious. Again, the same thing with the small lettering. I'm raking it across. I'm looking for bubbles. And then making sure it gets into the edges of the letters. Okay, onto the names. And after I finish the names, I will check on you all, see if you have any questions. I'd be curious if anybody else has done memorial plaques or plaques for trophies or any other interesting ways to use mirror acrylic. I'd love to hear your ideas. Another thing with this is you sort of get one shot at it, so you can't come back and add more paint. If you have a bubble in there and it dries around the bubble, then you're sort of out of luck. You'd have to start over. Another thing I learned the hard way is you can't clean this with anything abrasive. So if you clean your mirror acrylic with anything like acetone or isopropyl alcohol, anything that's abrasive or caustic, it will actually shatter the acrylic. So you'll get micro shatters on the side, and it'll look really bad. We found that out when we were doing some ornaments, and we were trying out different colors on the back to see what showed up well. And we tried to clean off the layer to try a different color, and it micro fractured the whole thing. All right, let me make sure there's no bubbles. Okay, and I will check on your questions. Give this a second. Make sure there's no bubbles. Couple bubbles, they seem to be popping. All right, fill that in. All right, and I'm gonna check for your questions. And let that set. All right, what questions do y'all have? Anybody using mirror acrylic for anything interesting? Let me know. Yeah, Joe. Sometimes the hardest thing is when you have a tool that can do so many things to try and figure out what your next project will be. Luckily, I have kids that have no end to their creativity, so they always have things for me to do. We're also considering starting a STEM club. Sorry about that. Light was having some issues. Yeah, we're thinking about starting a STEM club. Kids love doing stuff with cardboard. So, um, my son made this a few years ago now. He's 9 now, but he made this probably when he was 6. So you got the cardboard keys, and then YouTube, but it has different screens. So this was, I think, a game, sort of like Flappy Bird, where you're running around collecting coins. And so yeah, uh, no end. He even put a little xTool on it. So this was our prototype. We then made one for his sister that actually had lasered cardboard. So that was really fun. Oh, that's fun. Yeah. So making a dog leash holder sign with acrylic, with the dog butts in acrylic. Yeah, so are the dog butts like are they 3D? Do they come out and you hang it on the tail of the dog? Or I'm curious. Definitely share pictures of it in the groups. I'm curious what the end result of that will be. Let me check on our paint, and then I think we will call it good. Here's what we're looking at. Again, it will be more reflective than that. There is a film coating, so if it looks like it's scratched, it's because there's a film coating on the front of the acrylic. This is how shiny it is without that front protective coating. So it's very, very shiny. Again, I got this from xTool. If anybody's interested in getting their acrylic, I think it was on sale. I think their Labor Day sale might be ended. But it's like four sheets for $30, I want to say. 4 or 5 sheets. As always, thanks for subscribing, liking. If you are interested in more live streams, either work projects like this or topics, you can join Shar's Craft Lounge, or you can join the unofficial group where I'm posting about these projects and asking for more ideas. So it looks like we have one more question. Can you use any kind of paint, or does it have to be acrylic paint? I believe you can use any kind of paint. Why I chose acrylic paint is it tends to stand up better. I haven't tried oils or anything like that. I think that tempera paint, wouldn't have a good consistency. They tend to be, they wash off really easily. This is actually going to be outdoors, and so I will end up sealing the back of it. So yeah, so I use acrylic paint. It's also super cheap, as opposed to other things. I wouldn't use a spray paint, again, because of that fracturing that we noticed using a cleaning agent. Awesome. Yes, 3D. 3D acrylic is the best way to go. Yeah, definitely, Techie Grandma, definitely share share that project in the groups. Would love to see how it turns out. So, thanks again. Thanks again for watching, for subscribing. If you're buying any supplies from xTool, feel free to use the affiliate link. It goes a long way to me being able to carve out more time, and hopefully this is helpful for all you. So, and as always, have fun lasering. Bye.